Here we are. After a truly splendid arc, the U20 World Cup has arrived, and the best teams in the world will face off to determine the best of all. For the first time, players developed inside the Blue Lock program will represent their country against the world's strongest youth teams. What started as a controversial experiment is now national policy, and the question everyone is asking is simple: will it work? Although Japanese players have become world-renowned stars thanks to the Blue Lock project, their system is imperfect and relies solely on individual talent and the competitive spirit that drives them to the top. This is not the case with other great footballing nations that develop a unified game based on strategies developed around their leader, some of whom are already internationally known as potential professional football geniuses. So what do you think? Which players will shine in this competition and become the next stars of world football? Yoichi Isagi, the crazy genius with observation. Hockey. Isagi wasn't supposed to be the future of Japanese football. He had no speed advantage, no flashy footwork, no god-tier finishing. But what he had, and still has, is vision. The kind that doesn't just react to the game, but rewrites it as it unfolds. From passing the ball to Kira in Chapter 1 to outmaneuvering Kaiser and Bastard München, Isagi's entire story is built on adaptation. While others focused on raw ability, he built metavision, a cognitive weapon that lets him see the entire pitch, predict movement, and manipulate outcomes before anyone else can react. What changed? He stopped asking, "Should I take the shot?" and started creating the shot before it even existed. And now, in a squad full of egoists, Isagi might be the one player holding the whole thing together, not by scoring the most, but by seeing what no one else does. He reads Baru's timing, he reacts to Rin's positioning, he senses Sae's rhythm, and he builds goals from those fragments. But what happens when the world starts reading him, when defenders adapt to his vision? That's what the U20 World Cup will answer. Is Isagi just a clever playmaker, or the first of a new kind of striker? This guy is just setting out to be exactly what ego wants. And so, it begs the question. In the 89th minute, down by 1, who do you trust? The strongest ego on the pitch, or the one who already saw the goal before anyone else did? Rin Itoshi, cold precision in a volatile lineup. Rin doesn't play with emotion, he plays with purpose. His precision in front of goal isn't instinct, it's just simple math, if you could call it that. The spacing, angles, execution. That's how he delivered the equalizer against Japan U20, and it's how he earned his place at Paris X-Gen under Julien Loki. But how do you handle a player who only plays for himself? That's ego's dilemma, because Rin may be Japan's most clinical weapon, but he also refuses to bend. And now that Sae is back in the picture, the chemistry between these brothers could turn explosive. Will Rin rise above old grudges, or get caught chasing a shadow he can't outrun? Sae Itoshi, calm in the eye of ego. When Blue Lock broke the U20 team, Sae walked away. He didn't argue, he didn't protest, he simply returned to Spain, as if to say, "I've seen what you're building, I'll be back when it matters." Well, he's back. Sae has chosen to join the World Cup late, likely entering just as Japan faces Spain. He doesn't need time to warm up, he needs a stage, and what he brings is something the egoists lack: game control. Vision, the ability to shift tempo not with shouting, but with one pass. So, what happens when the most disciplined player in Japan's system is dropped into a team built on ego? Maybe that's the point. Maybe Sae's return isn't about fitting in, but forcing the rest to evolve. Michael Kaiser, the German whiz. If Isagi is the player who rewrote his limits, then Kaiser is the one who refused to recognize any. From the moment he was introduced in Bastard München, Kaiser operated like the sun, untouchable, unchallenged, the center of gravity in every match. His weapon? Kaiser Impact. A strike so fast, so sharp, it slices through defenses before they even react. And what makes it lethal isn't just the technique, it's the timing. He knows exactly when to disappear and when to appear with the kill shot. But there's something more unsettling beneath all that arrogance. He never doubts himself, not once. While Isagi second-guessed every step in his journey, Kaiser has always played as if the outcome is a given. He walks into every match like it's already over. That confidence? It's not just posturing, it's a habit, it's muscle memory. And here's the part that matters most. Kaiser made Isagi better. It was under Kaiser's constant pressure that Isagi unlocked metavision. It was through that rivalry that Isagi developed his ambidexterity, his off-ball presence, his understanding of spatial warfare. Kaiser doesn't teach, he forces evolution. Now imagine that pressure turned outward, against Japan. Because as the ace of Germany's U20 squad and a member of the new generation world effort, Kaiser is coming into this tournament not as a breakout prospect, but as an established threat. A killer who doesn't need to grow anymore. A striker built for efficiency, not learning. So here's the question. When the stakes rise and egos collide, who breaks first? The player who shaped himself to survive, or the one who was born convinced he'd never lose? Their rematch could absolutely define the U20 World Cup. Lorenzo, the zombie defender. In a squad full of forwards, course, someone has to stop the bleeding. That's Lorenzo, the zombie defender, the man who doesn't just block your shot, he gets inside your rhythm and scrambles it. Lorenzo's role may seem quiet, but don't be fooled. Against creative systems like Spain or disciplined teams like France, he's the one player capable of throwing a wrench in the plan. And more importantly, he knows how to play with egos. He did it at Ubers. He does it naturally. He doesn't need the spotlight. He just erases yours. So ask yourself, when every striker wants to be the hero, who's the one keeping the story from ending early? Julien Loki, the quiet architect of control. Julien Loki isn't the loudest presence in Blue Lock, but he may be the most influential. At just 16, he was already playing professionally. Now, barely older than the players he coaches, he stands at the helm of Paris X-Gen, one of the most tactically disciplined teams in the U20 setup. What sets Loki apart isn't just his talent, it's his understanding. While Ego built Blue Lock to challenge tradition through chaos and egoism, Loki takes a different approach. He studies systems, isolates patterns, and refines players until their instincts become structured. And in doing so, he creates something rare: discipline without rigidity. That's exactly what he's done with Rin Itoshi. Rin's precision and control were already sharp, but under Loki's guidance, he's begun to show another layer: quicker decision-making, more efficient movement, and a style that values positioning as much as power. The shift isn't dramatic, but it's there, and it speaks volumes about the kind of coach Loki is. But Loki is more than a strategist on the sidelines. He's still an active threat on the pitch if needed. His acceleration, dribbling, and spatial reading once made him one of the most promising players of his generation. If France finds itself backed into a corner, there's a real possibility he'll take the field, not as a savior, but as part of the plan he's already written. The bigger question is, how will Ego's philosophy hold up against someone who operates with this level of control? Loki doesn't argue with Ego. He studies it, adjusts around it, uses it where it's useful, and discards it where it gets in the way. And that's why, in a tournament full of players trying to stand out, Loki stands out by staying calm. Not because he needs the spotlight, but because he knows how to direct it. If this World Cup turns into a test of systems, not just skills, Loki might be the one holding the answer before anyone else finishes asking the question. Of course, there's a bonus. A player who's shown himself for the first time, even Isagi has admitted he can't help but feel the pressure. Bunny Igelius, the threat you won't see coming. You won't find many clips of Bunny Igelius. You won't hear much noise around him either. But the few who've faced him say the same thing. You don't know he's there until it's too late. Or at least, we can believe that's what they said. Representing Spain, Bunny is rumored to be a hybrid striker: silent movement, sharp finishing, no wasted motion. If Japan meets Spain during Sae's return game, Igelius could become the ghost that haunts the midfield. The egoists might be chasing the spotlight. But Bunny, he doesn't need it. He only needs the space you forget to cover. These guys, Isagi, Rin, Sae, Kaiser, Lorenzo, Loki, and Bunny, they're not just names. They're pressure points. Each of them carries a piece of the bigger question. Is football about dominance or understanding? About shining alone or blending within? And when the final whistle blows, which philosophy will be left standing? Because this World Cup won't be decided by stats. It'll be decided by moments. And those moments belong to the ones who shape them. Thanks for reading. Hit that like button and share the video with your friends. Also, you can check out other exciting recaps on our channel. Ring that notification bell so you don't miss what's coming next.